Welcome, everybody, to the Seller Club podcast, episode lucky number 13. And we are talking cross listing. I am Glenn.
I'm Anna.
And I am Ken, the congested Ken.
Oh, I don't like that. I don't like that. We can do some work on your voice, and we can do some like auto tune or
some edits,
or like a
like
voiceover artist, perhaps.
AI can come in, change the voice a little bit.
Is it actually me? Is it really me, or AI just hasn't polished my voice yet?
They'll never know. So let's drop that beat. So, beat has been dropped. We are back. Anna, Ken, cross-listing. That's what we got to talk about today. How many platforms are we selling on in total here?
How many are we listed on, or how many are we selling on?
Selling on.
The difference.
Just kidding.
Listings.
But you mean like each or collectively?
You know what? Let's go one by one. So I'll start off a little bit. So right now, eBay, which we know and love. Amazon have not done anything in a good while. Goat, a little bit. Mercari, yes. And Whatnot, for sure. StockX, I kind of fell off on selling things on there. And Poshmark, I did list some things. We'll go deeper into that, but wasn't a big fan of the platform. I don't know if that's going to anger people on here, but hopefully not. We'll get into that a little bit later. And I'll probably say local sales has been helping me too. Facebook Marketplace I've not really done. I used to do Craigslist back in the day to show
What's
my age.
What's Craigslist?
I know.
Get out of here again. The OG. I love Craigslist.
OG. So if I had to rank them, though, I would probably say eBay, Whatnot, Mercari, in that order, are my top 3 ongoing right now.
That's a lot more than I expected, actually.
There we go. All right, I like that. Ken,
I guess I would go next because the other person is, not really cross listing much yet.
All right, Kenny, go ahead.
So we are currently on eBay, Poshmark, Goat, Whatnot Marketplace. And I'm going to talk about why I'm on Whatnot Marketplace.
Okay.
And on StockX, I have like probably 20 listings there.
Wow.
So, yeah. So those are, I guess, the 4 marketplaces we're in. I don't know. Should I add more marketplaces, or should I just focus on?
I don't know. That's a good conversation.
Right. That's a good conversation, right? All right,
yes.
Anna, your turn.
And now it's my turn. The queen of focus, who has only ever been on one platform.
Some might say queen of cross-listing. I like that.
Oh.
Some might say. Maybe that is my future. Maybe my empire will expand. Yeah, so it's no secret. eBay has always been my first love, true love of my life. But I have recently begun a cross-listing experiment in which I've cross-listed 100 items of like fashion-related, clothing and accessories to Poshmark. And so haven't had any sales yet, but I have cross-listed 100, and I have a lot more, probably thousands more of clothing items and clothing related things, shoes, accessories that I could. I know there's other stuff on Poshmark too, but I would probably stick to fashion on that platform. From all of the questioning other sellers I have done, that's been a big takeaway. And I think that in the spirit of focus, any platform I cross list to, I'm going to have a specific type of inventory. It's not going to be miscellaneous on any other platform but eBay probably. So I do want to try Mercari. I also want to put some of my vintage stuff on Etsy. And there's probably some other ones I would try too. Perhaps Depop. I don't know. I need to do some more kind of looking into polling other resellers about some of the other ones that I haven't really looked into as much yet. But I'm really excited to see, at the very least, what I learn from trying these other platforms.
So you mentioned Etsy and Depop, and what are some other ones that we haven't mentioned? Grailed, I know was out there.
Kidizen.
I thought I heard a lot of good things about Grailed, especially for like vintage pieces, and then like kind of like the sportswear mix. I think they're kind of like getting there. But Anna, in this episode, it's the official episode that we're announcing. Go ahead, say it.
We are announcing our first partnership sponsorship with none other than List Perfectly. So this is very timely for me to be trying this experiment, because since I've never cross-listed before, I'm kind of the perfect guinea pig to, learn and use List Perfectly top to bottom. And I'm pretty excited about it. But guys, you guys have both been using List Perfectly for a long time. And both of you told me for a long time before we ever entertained any kind of partnership.
Before we even had a podcast, right?
Yeah, before that I should, what am I doing? I should definitely be in there already. And I wasn't, of course. So that's yet another rock that you have dragged me out from beneath, which I guess I'm grateful for. But why don't you guys talk about why List Perfectly? Like, why are we partnering with them? It's really exciting, how this is going to impact the podcast. But why do you guys like this company, and how, you've been using them forever. So how has that worked for both of you?
Well, for me, I just liked how easy it was to cross list, especially to Mercari. Like, Mercari, I was doing it the old school way of just listing the stuff that I already had on eBay, and I'm like, I really do not want to take photos all over again or upload them all over again. And I'm not going to retype like a whole title and description, all of this stuff. And so when this came out, we first started using it, I'm like, I didn't go all in on Mercari, because I already had like some success on Mercari. I did like the platform. I mean, I still do, but I think now using Whatnot and different things too, I think Mercari is like a nice third option. But it was just really easy to get all my eBay listings on there. And I was using it different though than Ken, because Ken was using other options that List Perfectly has available, as far as, something sells, you can take it off a different platform, this and that. And for me, I just wanted to just go all in on Mercari right away, and it was just like a couple of clicks. All right, next. And so
were you listing it as soon as you posted it, or did you batch like list 10 and then cross list 10? How what was the process?
That's a good question. I think, what I did was so first I did 10, like I would do 10, 15, 20 items on eBay. Then I would immediately cross list them. Right. But I was like, should I do it this way, or should I just do a ton of listings on eBay first? And that was like completely the wrong way to do it, because
really
I had like 100 listings, and then I figured that like I could just go right into it on the List Perfectly side, and I was like, I do not like this at all. I like just tackling on like 10 or 20 batches, at a time, yeah. And I like having them both listed around the same time, instead of leaving 100 fresh listings on eBay, and then I'll get to the cross listing the next day, and then something else happens, and then the next day I was like, nah, let me just do it right when I list them.
So it's more synchronous. It's more one process getting, and like, did you, back when you started, I don't know about now either, but did you actually make your listings in List Perfectly, or did you make them on eBay, import them in, and then cross list?
I find the easiest way is definitely just through eBay, and then the rest will follow. I think because of item specifics. I mean, they ask for so much on eBay that like it kind of covers. Yeah. It covers everything else on all the other platforms. I think if you started off maybe on Mercari and switched, you know what? I've done that too, but it wasn't as like thorough as eBay.
Yeah, you'll have missing fields once you get to eBay.
Gotcha.
That was like our biggest experience, and that was the thing that we actually consulted with List Perfectly, which is the cool thing about the company, because you can reach out to them, and they actually have support people that would actually, get on a call, hop in a call. at one point there was me, JC, and we had a part-timer, Rachel, that was working with us, and we all kind of like got into like a conference call, and we actually kind of got the training, which
Awesome.
is available for everybody that wants to get training too. I mean, we actually even were talking about that. We all three want to, get into like a constant call with List Perfectly and training. But going back to how we started, Glenn, who started it first? Was I using it before you did, or you were using it
No,
before?
I think you were using it
Yeah,
before.
because how I started cross listing actually is I actually paid VAs. Now I remember it. I paid VAs, and actually my brother was one of them. I was
Oh,
paying him
wow.
50 cents per listing. So what they literally did is copied, literally manually copied an eBay listing and posted to Poshmark. That's what it was, and I could just tell how dreading the work was, one is
Sounds
it
fun.
was probably early on it was the first thing that I wanted to be outsourced because I couldn't just put ourselves to the pain
Sit
of
there
doing it,
and
and at that point I think it was just right after eBay opened 2018, because that's when List Perfectly was like handing out their flyers at
Oh,
eBay
yeah.
Open. And I've heard about it. I believe it was through Teresa Cox. And right after that, there was just talk around, the seller community and stuff like that through social media. And I was like, let me try this out. And as soon as we found out, like, wait, like, this is it, right? Like, because we were doing it manual way, 4 clicks. I think it's 4 clicks. You can list an item. I think you just had to add the price or confirm the price, and then you could go live. After that, we just went crazy on Poshmark.
Wow.
Poshmark is our main platform. I still believe that Mercari is is stronger, especially on the variety of stuff that we sell. But again, it just boils down to like actually dedicating time to do it, right? Like there is this great tool, and if you don't dedicate time, it still could be so messy. So
Right.
now currently we are using it to do inventory management, which is one of the cool things that List Perfectly allows you, because on the List Perfectly site there's actually direct links to your listings where it's listed. So if you have this size 9 shoe Jordan 1 that sells, all you gotta do is click there, and then now they have a sale notification. So List Perfectly would detect the sales, and on your List Perfectly dashboard, you just click that what sold. It actually has a ka-ching sound. So if you leave the tab open, it would have a ka-ching. So
Does it?
on
Is it
JC's
a different sound than the eBay?
it's a different ka-ching. Yeah, it's a
That's
different
hilarious.
ka-ching. Yeah, so we leave it on the basement desktop, and then we hear it around across our house because it's so distinct, and
Yeah.
that just it's a reminder. It's like, hey, you need to take this down on another platform. So that's how we've been using it. I think this partnership is gonna be a fun and exciting partnership because we've been using it before, like we said, before we considered affiliate marketing. I mean, I don't even think me and Glenn has gave away our codes or anything like
No,
that. 'Cause
I've been
we were
using
just-
other people's code.
Yeah.
When
Really?
He doesn't
yeah,
even know
like,
how
I
to
don't
create his
even-
own code.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Speaking
Well,
of that,
I used yours, Ken, because when
Yeah.
I first signed up for List Perfectly before
Yeah.
any of this happened with the partnership too, because I was just like, okay, talking to so many resellers who are on all these platforms, I thought, okay, I at least want to like give it a go and learn how
Right.
the other platforms work. Like, I don't want to be missing out just because I'm stubborn. So, because we all know I'm quite stubborn. So I was like gonna try it, and also I don't know, just wanted to see, because there's a lot more to List Perfectly than just cross listing or just creating
Right.
listings. Like, there's lots of different resources and tools built into it, and I heard great things about it. At Boss, I met a lot of people who work for List Perfectly, who were awesome people that I really enjoyed meeting, and I was like, okay, like, I'm gonna check this out. So I actually used your code, Ken, when I signed up initially.
Thank
just
you.
To,
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Just to check it out and, start putting some of my eBay listings over there and learning the platform a little bit. But
for sure, and
so that might be the only time you ever use it. I'm pretty sure.
For anybody that's listening to this right now, on the show notes, we will put a direct link to get you guys some discounts. Like I said, we just launched this, and we're trying to get into the groove on how to, because me and Glenn actually haven't utilized our own code, so now Seller Club will have their own code, and
right.
our link is going to be discounted. And then throughout this journey, throughout this partnership, I think the cool part about it is actually pushes me to actually learn it more and go along with the journey. Because when Anna started, Anna was asking us, me and JC, like, hey, what are the best ways to do it, this and that. And I think that's going to be a very cool journey, and we're grateful for that. And I think overall too, it's just like the people at List Perfectly. It's the people that we have pretty much gotten to know, specifically for me and JC. Earlier last year, they invited us to the Camp Listing Party, which is their conference, the first time they ever did. And I think that was really like the first kind of like me getting really introduced to everybody that worked at List Perfectly. Of course, we knew Snoop Doggy. I knew Theresa Cox, and just a few people that that are connected with List Perfectly. But really, then I met the CEO, Clara and Amanda, and I think they were just really excited, and they said like let's do something together. And at that very moment, I didn't know that podcast was coming up. Right. And I was like, okay, I have like you gave me my word. I said I'll get back to you, and then obviously at Boss we literally pitched it, and Anna meeting them for the first time, I said like, hey, remember you said we're gonna work together?
Yeah,
this is it. So
I was like, really nice to meet you. I guess we're talking about a partnership all of a sudden, but it's really cool. I mean, I feel like there's so many common values that we have also between like from List Perfectly to Seller Club. Just they care so much and provide so much for the community, which is obviously huge to us. Like that's why we exist. So that's a big one too. But also I just feel like there's always room to grow and learn, and the education and kind of learning together aspect is also a big deal with Listing Party and stuff like that. And so I guess, guys, should we get into some of like how this partnership is gonna be, like how people are gonna know that we have a partnership and what's going on, or the details
for sure?
Of it?
Yeah. Well, I think for me, the partnership was pretty easy just because me and Ken had already been using this. So it wasn't really anything forced or feel like some 3 a.m. infomercial type of thing because I already use this platform. So like I can easily talk about this anytime.
Like, yep, I get it.
Yeah. So totally. It's not anything too out there where I really have to think about it for a bit. But I would just say, I guess before we get into that, just how try other platforms. I really want to go deeper into like why other platforms are good and what they're good at. I feel like I've sold on so many different platforms that I've tried to figure out like what is the strength of every platform, because there's good and bad, I think, of every seller platform out there. There's not a perfect one unless Anna and Ken are going to develop the perfect one. Then
that could be the Seller Club platform.
Then I'm all for it.
Wow. Come on, slow down. Our podcast's not even a year old yet.
Okay. So
episode 13.
Yeah, episode 14, Seller Club platform.
Good.
Just the perfect platform. No returns. Yeah. Just easy fees. Seller always wins. Just love
I like that. I like that. Easy feezy.
Easy. I see. There we go. We already have a tagline. But yeah, we can talk about the platforms very soon. But all right, go ahead. Sorry. Let's perfect.
Yeah. We'll give it to Anna. Anna's the detail oriented person here. Let's have Anna. It's just the more detail oriented person.
It's true. I'm a bit of a cat wrangler. Totally fine. Well,
Yeah.
okay. So basically, you know, like we've kind of said, we have these common values, and we all now use the platform, which is cool. And I am going to be enjoying, you know, experimenting with these new platforms to list on, and kind of tracking that progress, tracking that journey. So what this will look like as far as the Seller Club podcast goes is we will actually be having a segment in our Q&A episodes, which, by the way, this is, we usually have a Q&A episode once a month. This is technically it. And we will actually get to some of that towards the end of the episode today. But during our regular Q&A scheduled programming, we'll have like 15 minutes or so where we're going to talk about the progress, right? And how we're using List Perfectly, how it's helping our businesses, the struggles that we're having with it, the questions we have. And, you know, again, like all of this is collaborative. This whole podcast is trying to be a big collaborative learning effort with other sellers. And so we're going to share what's going on with us. We want to know what's going on with you, what you know about cross-listing, you know, what your experience is, and all of that. So we'll be kind of checking in about that subject in our Q&A episodes through that lens, which will be really cool. And also, we are going to be hosting a very interactive Seller Club seminar on the Listing Party like platform, right? The website where you can go and basically it's like getting on a big Zoom call. But we're going to be doing topical Seller Club seminars once a month. Well, as long as we have this partnership, we'll be doing that. And the three of us will be there, and we'll be talking about, you know, something topical where we're actually kind of teaching, but we're also going to be doing a lot of discussion and Q&A because, you know, it's great. Obviously the podcast, you can listen to it anytime. It's asynchronous, but with the Listing Party, you can like literally show up and talk to us, and we can literally hear from you right then in the moment. So that'll be really cool.
Yeah. So there'll be no haters hiding behind a keyboard, questioning credibility and questioning our sales.
For sure.
But you can actually directly ask us and be like, "Yo, B, like, how much do you really make?"
Right. Just turn the screws. But seriously, we've had some really great. Obviously, we've had great feedback already for the podcast, but we've had feedback from people, including that they want to hear more detail about things, like more granular detail about how we do stuff or how we handle different situations. And I'm sure that we will not be able to help ourselves getting into lots of detail about whatever we're talking about in those seminars. And we are, of course, going to get into detail with things on the podcast. But, I mean, I love to listen to podcasts, and I know what that's like being the listener where I'm like, but wait, what about this? Like, and you just want to ask a bunch of questions, and it's not live, so you can't. So that's going to be a really cool, like, live component of what we do together. And so we'll have all of this stuff that we're talking about. By the way, we will talk about it on our social media. We're actually going to be doing a really awesome giveaway with List Perfectly. Yeah. That is going to be like part of our launch. So you should be hearing very shortly about that. The details of that.
Can we give them a detail of what we're doing?
No.
The
big surprise. This is like one of this giveaway is legit.
It's probably the biggest.
I mean,
it is.
100%.
It's probably the biggest we've ever seen.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
This is not a Ross gift card. This is not this is a real deal.
But all that to say, like, seriously, keep your eyes on our Instagram account for Seller Club, because that's where the giveaway is going to live.
You don't want to miss this giveaway. I mean, if I can join, I would join.
Well, you can't.
JC can't join.
But,
JC can't join. Well, I'm glad already. Like, so does Gigi. All right.
Oh yeah. What about Baby?
So does
can
John.
Baby join?
Maybe.
Maybe
we'll make an exception for the next generation, perhaps.
Okay, that's good. All right.
But yeah, as also, you know, List Perfectly is always making improvements and including all of their new features and all of their new tools and stuff for free for the same price that your subscription is. You know, that's one of their promises, which I think is really cool. So as things are developing for them, as soon as they know about it and can tell us, then we will also be spreading that word of, you know, what's around the bend for them and what kind of new stuff they're working on. So that's always really exciting. But yeah, that's kind of mainly what it's going to be. You know, we'll be checking in about our progress with List Perfectly, and we'll be doing some cool stuff like giveaways and, you know, just kind of like working together to help empower the seller community. Like, that's really what we want to do. And so we think this partnership is going to be a great way to do that.
Yeah, right. Definitely joining us on the lives. We want a live show and live seminars. Definitely want to join there.
Yeah, that's gonna be exciting. Can't wait to make new friends. Can't wait to introduce Glenn and Anna to the Listing Party folks. I have been able to hop in there. I think it was early last year or the first half of last year. I was able to go there. I think I was joining the 9 a.m. Eastern time call. And the mastermind call, and that was actually really good. What actually is the greatest benefit of it too is it actually kind of like opens your mind to other ways, and as Anna said earlier, like group learning, right? I definitely am a person that thrives more when there's a group and there's kind of like a accountability rather than individual person. I never studied by myself. That's why for me group study was always helpful, and I think that's what I feel like Listening Party is. Hop in there. Anna just did a show recently with the Snoop Doggy show. Like they get to invite different people, and I think that's one of the things that I'm very excited this year, because personally, like, I don't have a definite goal this year of like hitting this number or like doing this. One of them, our main focus really this year is, Seller Club and, possibly ramping up our social media and stuff like that. But one of the things that, is the benefit of having a cross-listing tool is you actually get to double or triple your current inventory without shopping, right? Like, because those are different eyes on different platforms. There are people that only shop Poshmark. There are people that only shop Mercari, and goes on and so forth. So by you taking your current inventory and listing it on another platform, it's actually really good. I mean, one of the things our personal experience was like, instead of like donating our old clothes, we actually start bundling them up and we start selling them on Poshmark. But it could be sold on all platform, so now I'm thinking like, okay, now you just have more eyes on your product, and we all know the higher the impression, the higher the traffic, it's a numbers game, and there's going to be conversion. So that's going to be a really cool journey. I could definitely tell personally that we wouldn't have our Poshmark revenue. We roughly average around $10,000 a year for Poshmark ever since we've joined List Perfectly. And we could go into the details on the seminar because we could definitely pull up some numbers there. But that's a lot of shoes and a lot of meals for the Hustle Bee.
So much green barbecue. Oh my god.
Yeah. And Glenn's the number one seller in Mercari.
Mercari.
Are you
Mercari?
Actually?
No, I don't even know.
Oh, because I would believe it.
I could. So right now I've completed 1,700. Wait, almost 1,800
transactions.
Sold. I mean, transactions.
Wow.
I mean, on Mercari. I mean, since I've joined,
that's
and
a
it's
lot.
kind of, we try to figure out what works on different platforms, and Mercari is, I mean, they sell everything. And at first I was like, who's gonna buy baseball cleats at Mercari? Mm-hmm. I mean, do people even search for that? And sure enough, like one pair sold today. Sold today.
Yeah, who is looking for what where? I mean, that's the name of the game, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then we had I saw a polo Sherpa jacket like 2 months ago for more than what I had listed on eBay.
Nice.
And so you have random things that you probably underestimate different platforms, because I was like, you and Ken, to where, eBay's number one. I don't want to go anywhere else. I don't want to try anything else. Stubborn. And even when Ken was
also
like
loyal, you know, it's
loyal,
like, and you don't want to waste your time. Like that.
Yeah.
That was honestly the thing that held me back for so long. Like the whole time until very recently. Is just that why would I go? Because eBay's still working. So why would I go do something else when what I'm doing is working? But honestly, now it's just like my view of the world of e-commerce is just bigger, and I just want to understand it more, you know? And it's like, great if I get more sales. Like, obviously that is also the goal, but like, why? Why am I getting which sales where? And what are, like you said, Glenn, what are each of the platforms doing really well? And, you know, where are the gaps? Like, I'm just very curious about that. And I think the only way to really find out is to try it. So,
yeah. And kind of like with Ken, he was like the first one to show me also selling on Goat. And that's where you're at the decision to where you find, let's say, shoes without box. Okay, Goat, good. eBay, good. Mercari, good. So you're kind of like, you know, what platform's going to sell this particular product on? And then you move forward. Because I know with like Amazon, it could be totally different. Well, especially if you're doing FBA, you don't even have the item with you since you're shipping it to the warehouse. But, you know, with Poshmark too, you may not want to sell a certain product that you don't think fits into like that fashion type of, you know, category
aren't there
or fashion
like weight
app.
limits too? It's like for their shipping on Poshmark.
Yeah, it's 5 pounds, right?
It's like 5
and then
pounds.
After that,
yeah.
you pay.
So it's like there's some stuff that like you just couldn't. I mean, I have some.
Yeah,
outerwear
so
that's
there
way
are
more
some
than
like
5 pounds,
there are some items that it's cheaper to sell on Poshmark because buyer pays shipping, right? Like it's you know, they might pay more, but for you, you know, that the fees make sense. I think you know, like the statement of you're probably saying no to opportunities because you only know one way to sell it.
Yeah,
Like
right.
Like now I'm more open to like getting more clothing pieces because I know there's Poshmark and there's Whatnot and there's potentially Mercari. For us, like we have sold on Mercari, but it's just something that we need to beef up on. Also, too, the cool thing about why I'm selling on Whatnot Marketplace.
I was just gonna ask you to follow up on that.
Yeah, if you cross list on Poshmark, Whatnot will copy your listings from Poshmark, so it will mirror it, and it for some I think it refreshes every 24 hours or something like that. And actually, another app that's up and coming, a live selling app called Jambo, actually mirrors your Poshmark too.
Interesting.
And yeah, I've sold like a running shoe for like $150 there, and I have it on eBay for $75, and I'm like, this guy just wants it. And Jambo currently has 0 fees.
And that's another like it's a live selling, like Whatnot's live selling, but you're talking about the marketplace, which is
the marketplace,
not the live selling part.
And you don't even have to do
Just to be
anything.
clear.
All you got to do is click copy my Poshmark closet, and it does it for you. So I would say within the last year we probably like did extra $5,000 because of just that auto feature. Yeah. So which is really cool because like people DM me like, hey B, can you sell this to me? And then they're like looking at my Whatnot marketplace, and then I could just like, do you just buy it on eBay because I have lower fees on eBay and I can give you a better discount and stuff like that. So I think that's just a really cool avenue where like those features are like 2 clicks away, right? Like it's like another level of unlock just because you've cross-listed to one more platform. And I feel like you're talking about like, you know, understanding the whole grand scheme of e-commerce. That's it, really, right? Like the more marketplaces, the more you know, places your item appears, it's just more chances of it selling.
Well, sure. And I mean, you know, it's like I said earlier, it's no secret eBay is my first love of my life, right? And like whatever I ascertain from other platforms and what's working, what's not working, like of course I want eBay to stay relevant and to stay on top of the game, and which I believe they still are, of course, but like things are constantly changing, and it's really interesting how one little feature on another platform can be like such a big deal, or like one little difference can be such a big deal. And so I'm just like, I just want to be in the know about that, because I've been in lots of conversations with other sellers who have been selling on multiple platforms for a long time, and a lot of the time I'm just like, well, I wouldn't know anything about that because I've never looked into it, so I just feel like I need to do it at this point to be informed. And I'm glad that List Perfectly makes it easy because I don't have time to go and manually, do any of that stuff.
No way. To do it manually, I'm like,
absolutely not with 10,000
platform.
Yeah,
10,000.
Well, what do you guys think? Since this is also the official kickoff of my cross-listing experiment, the Grand Guinea Pig experiment, do you think like 100 items per platform is a good level for experimentation, or do you think I should do more or less than that?
Well, I think it also depends on what kind of categories they're in,
right.
And if you're trying to like, I don't know, spread them out, or are you trying to just focus on one niche?
I just want to focus on whatever is like the most salient category for that platform. Like Poshmark, my understanding is that fashion
like
is
clothing,
the most salient.
like fashion.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So,
but Mercari, it could be anything.
Yeah,
Mercari's.
like I don't know. I mean, I don't know what it would be. I need to figure out how I'm going to make that choice on that one, but I haven't ventured over there yet.
What if you're cross-listing only the items that have the most watchers and or views on eBay?
Oh,
right. I could do by traffic. I could do by value.
Yeah. Or you do the opposite, the stuff that never gets looked at.
Right.
Let me cross-list and see if they get some views.
See, there's got to be some criteria here, or I'll never be able to make a decision.
I think that if you did that, that'd be good.
These are the questions. Yeah.
Yeah,
I literally just looked up my Mercari, and I have a long way to go because I completed 160 sales.
Nice. Oh my gosh.
Almost there.
Glenn is kicking your
1,700
butt.
to go.
That's funny.
1,700 to go.
The cool thing about also on Mercari is that if you do, sometimes they run promotions. If you list like 10 or 20 items,
you get $20.
Yeah, you get this.
What?
I love that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I love that.
Wow.
I actually, every time it pops up, I actually like cross list. It's like,
Yeah, because then I mean you can easily just buy something from somebody else.
Because Glenn is an
eBay.
avid buyer. He's an avid
Yeah.
buyer of Mercari.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like that. Also, what I like about Mercari is you can just send offers for everything. Because I know eBay, like if someone just has a strict buy it now,
Right.
you know, they're not even entertaining any offers. At least on Mercari, you can,
It's just
see what
built
they
in.
say. Yeah, you never know. What are they gonna say? No.
They're gonna reject
Maybe.
you.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm made of
Maybe.
steel. It's fine.
Yeah. And I think what also is, it's because right now e-commerce is kind of crazy with numbers keep going up. Everyone's buying online more than ever.
Yeah.
Now we have live selling into the mix also thrown in there.
know.
But I remember also Ken, like when me and Ken would talk, and we would talk a lot about eBay stuff, and Ken would be like, if I really wanted to sell these items, let's say, if you wanted to get out of an item, let's say if an item was a bad buy or something, or over time it didn't move, and Ken would be like, I could sell it for half and it'd be gone. And that's not really the case, like in eBay, you could be the lowest and does not mean it's going to sell.
Right.
And let's say there is a buy or a couple of buys or even more than a couple of buys that are a little questionable. Maybe they're not moving. Give yourself the best chance to move it by cross-listing instead of just kind of waiting around and hoping, because on bad items, I'm not saying good items, but, some items end up being that. There's just no guarantee that just because you're the lowest that's going to work. So that's just what I would probably throw out there. I think people have that misconception, especially on eBay. Like, just because you undercut doesn't mean you're going to move right away.
Yeah. No, it doesn't. And I frequently list or price things like from anywhere from the middle of the comps to above the highest comp, just depending on the situation. But like, there are definitely times where I'm like, wow, someone just paid my full asking price for this plus shipping. And I know for a fact that when I looked at comps, there were some for $10 and free shipping. And they bought mine. They didn't buy that one. Like, literally happens every week. So you never know. There are a lot of factors. But,
for sure.
Well, one other thing I just wanted to throw out there for anybody who's like, blah, 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 I don't want to cross list like I was for my entire career so far. Like, I only want to stick to one platform, so this is irrelevant. I just remembered I had a great conversation with another reseller in 2023 who was telling me that they actually don't really care about cross listing, but what they do love, they're part of List Perfectly. And what they love about it is basically having coworkers and having those mastermind call access, because that has just breathed like all this new life into their business and given them so much, motivation, inspiration, confidence, new ideas, like education. It's just been like a game changer for them, and they don't even use it to cross list at all. So I thought that was really interesting. Just how valuable that is. But, Ken, I was never somebody who had to study with a bunch of other people all the time. I would study too much by myself probably.
Yeah,
but
you're a nerd.
I was a little bit Hermione Granger about it, just a little bit. But definitely this can be isolating work where we're just running our own businesses from home, and having those connections with other sellers is a real asset. So that's another thing to consider. It may be more relevant to you than you think. And I'm just saying that for anybody who is listening, who is like me, because I never thought it was relevant to me at all for a long time. And I think I was wrong about that. I really do now looking back. I'm like, I really was wrong. So,
yeah, I think for the biggest part of it, like even last year, it actually helped me focus on community more, and helping other people, compared to just focusing on like the not so good things that were happening last year. And I was just like, okay, this is that one automatic win that I can get, is to get with positive thinking people that are doing their own thing and that are trying to achieve a goal. And there's just something with being in a room, a virtual room, being with people that are goal oriented and that are just achievers. It's just, for me, it's like, sad to say that's not how most of the world works. So, for me, I'm a very a work of people's energy, right? If your energy is Debbie Downer, negative and stuff like that, I actually get down too. So part of my goal every day is not to spend time with those people, but not just not spending time. Like, what are you filling yourself with? So that's kind of like the biggest thing with Listing Party. I haven't been there lately, just because the busyness of holiday, we're vacation, but early on last year, I was really there, and I think I'm excited to do all the seminars here, and just kind of like share what we've learned, and also hear other people's perspective. I think that's one of the biggest thing, and really ask people questions. I think that's the coolest part of it.
Building the community on that side of things, and having that common goal. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, a lot of resellers are kind of weird. I mean, we've met a ton of them.
People who don't want a traditional 9-to-5 job.
Yeah, that is weird.
We've met a ton of them. You know why it's weird? Is because you do have the ones that have a common goal, that want to help each other out, and you have the ones that see you as competition, and they're like, why am I going to help out this person? This is the only business where this happens, to where, other people are stealing ideas, or, this person's my enemy technically, and it's just kind of like, what? Why? When resellers work together, especially, well, you know what? I could say even in a local standpoint too, you figure out ways that, like, hey, I have a buyer for this.
Symbiotic relationships.
There's it's that really helps out. And then virtual wise, when you have the common goal of selling on different platforms, hey, I noticed this is going on, these certain trends are happening. Then, if we work together and actually, figure out a little game plan and help each other out, you'll find
Yeah.
some success there.
Totally. And I mean, there's so much to be said for just the whole idea of, what the rising tide raises all ships. And all of us are, every business that we have, our own little businesses are our own little ships. But it's also like, on a larger level, just like culturally in our society, supporting small businesses and shopping pre-owned, pre-loved, like all that stuff is just escalating more and more. And so there is more opportunity there,
Right.
the world is like, the world of resale is not getting smaller. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't feel like, I've never felt really threatened by the presence of other resellers or other sellers in general, like myself, but I understand why people have that mindset sometimes, but I just don't think, I think it's like increasingly like not realistic to be stuck with that,
Yeah. No, I agree. 100%. So do we have any... Oh, are we doing Q&A?
Yes,
Yep.
if you guys have time, then we still have
Okay.
a couple of actual Q&As. But just to wrap up our announcement about this really awesome partnership with List Perfectly, just keep your eyes peeled on our social media, because anytime we do a giveaway, seller seminar, anything special that comes up, special announcements,
posting
we'll
it there,
definitely
yep.
have it there. And then, you'll be hearing about our progress as we check in about it, kind of through the regular course of our episodes. It should be very smooth, and just another additional way to think about your business as we have this additional way to think about our business. So we're just, internalizing it in our own businesses and sharing it with all of you. So that is the plan. And we love to hear what you guys think about that too. And who's out there already using List Perfectly, who's never considered it. Like, I'm really curious among our audience, kind of who's involved in some degree and who's not, and why not. So let's get to these Q&A questions. We've just got a couple of them, but they're good ones. We appreciate you guys sending them in, so please do. You can always email us. Where can they email us? sellerclubpodcast@gmail.com.
sellerclubpodcast@gmail.com, or you can
Yes.
DM us on IG if you want to, keep it anonymous.
Yes, and every once in a while we have a Q&A post and you can comment in there. But yeah, if you'd rather it be like a private or anonymous question, you can also send them those other ways. Okay, so the first one is, let's say you have a buyer who wants their item delivered to a different address than what's verified on their account. You message them because presumably you're adamantly shipping everything on time, but they don't respond right away. So what is the best course of action? What do you guys do?
Oh, man. Trying to stump us out here with these questions. So
It's a good
you know
question,
what?
I told you.
It is a good question. I hate when they don't respond. But then again, I kind of think of like, they're a buyer. They figured that everything's already set and you're good to go. And sometimes buyers don't even know what address they even put in.
Yeah,
and it comes
they
back to
DM
you,
you.
and I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh man, this
I've
item
had
came
that happen
back.
too.
I'm
It's
like,
like,
why?
this is in your account. Like, this is
Yeah.
your address in your account. I didn't make
Yeah.
up this address. Yeah.
So to go back, so if they have the wrong address, right? How do we know they have the wrong address?
They want
They
it. No, they want
messaged
it
you.
sent. Like, hey, Glenn, can you send this to my
Like,
sister?
they buy it, they
Yeah.
pay for it, and then they go, oh, crap, this is my old address, and I moved. Can you send it to my new address instead?
And then I'm like, okay, what's your new address? And then they don't respond.
Right. Yeah.
Oh,
Those are the worst communicators.
yeah. Now
ever.
that's
And then you're
Now
gonna
that's
be
bad.
left hanging because
Yeah.
of like handling time, and then you're at the risk of late shipment.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
I
I'll
would
probably-
I would ship it. I would ship it to
Ship to
the old
whatever
address?
address they did. Yeah,
Well,
because
presumably.
because that's on
they-
file.
yeah.
Yes. That's what you will still have your seller protections if
Yes,
you
you-
send
you-
it to.
yeah,
if you
you're
change
gonna
the
be
address,
covered.
You forfeit your seller protections, right? And it's
Yeah.
kind of like, well, not my problem that you didn't have the right address in your account.
Yeah.
However, I'm assuming too a little bit in this question that so this item sells, the buyer pays for it, the buyer then messages you, or sometimes they leave a note, right, with their purchase or whatever, and say, by the way, please send it to this address instead. And you're like, okay, well, technically you should have changed that address. They also can't change it after the fact. You'd have to cancel the sale, and they'd have to rebuy it after changing it in their account, which is a pain. But that's technically the correct, complete course of action. So I'm assuming that, like, this person in this example, they message them to tell them, hey, you would have to change it in your account, blah, blah, and that's what they don't respond to. I think it depends. Like, so for me, if this was, you know, a lapel pin or something that was, like, maybe under $20, I would send it to the address that they gave me. And I would message them and say, hey, because also this is a fun hiccup with this issue. I've had this happen multiple times. Even if you change the address on the shipping label page and you buy your shipping label through eBay, when the buyer gets the confirmation that a shipping label has been created, it will still say their address in their account that's verified. So sometimes
really?
I've gotten a message where they're like, I told you to send it to this other address, which I love when buyers are like bossy like that. And you're like, you did this all wrong. This isn't even my fault. But so I will sometimes send it to the address that they gave, and then I will immediately message them and say, hey, I sent it to your address, you know, that you gave me in good faith, but just so you know, you really need to go change this in your account immediately. Don't make any other purchases till you've changed it, because I'm forfeiting my seller protections. You know, I'm not really supposed to send it to a different address than what's verified in your account, and the shipping label confirmation is going to say I sent it to the old address, but I'm telling you I sent it to the one you gave me. So just don't be thrown off by that, but also go change it if it's not really your address, because it's going to continue to be a problem. So I try to like educate them. I know, exactly. But I try to educate them a little bit about it, because it is going to just make a bigger mess. And if it wasn't like a low dollar item, I would probably do what you said and just send it to the address that they had verified, because that's what they have verified. Like,
right.
Yeah.
How am I supposed to know?
Yeah.
So,
I like Ken's idea. Just like, hey, they didn't respond. Maybe give them like three small chances throughout the day.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, hey, they never answered,
I would give it a beat, but I would not wait and make it a late shipment over that. I'd be like,
because especially like, because, you know, we're trying to be a top rated seller, and if you have to ship in one day, then I don't want to put my account in jeopardy just for one person. Worst case scenario, we've actually canceled some. If it's like a higher end item, you could cancel something wrong with the buyer's address. Because
that's true.
Because they have mentioned it, right? And if they come back like, hey, would you cancel it? I said, you didn't respond. And
you didn't respond. I didn't want to send it to like a non-address.
Right.
But also that would give them the chance to then correct it and rebuy it.
Yeah.
If they really want it, they could do that, and they could do it the right way.
Turn off promoted listings and rebuy it. Just kidding. Go ahead.
So sneaky.
That's smart move.
No, don't talk about that.
Though. You have to relist it.
That's being a smart aleck. Okay, you ready for the next question?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Yes. Okay, so I think this is a good one. I think we should do a whole episode about this one, actually. Not right now, but we can give a nutshell answer for now, and then maybe expand on this seriously, because it's a great question. How essential is having your significant other / partner to your business's success? Would you be as successful if they weren't present in your day-to-day?
No.
Or would you be more successful if they weren't present in your day-to-day? I'm going to add that question.
Oh,
no,
man.
I'm totally just kidding.
I would say more. If I had more significant other, I'm just joking.
Ken had a harem. I don't know.
Dang.
That was not the question.
Yeah.
Okay, just to be really clear, the question is, would you be as successful if your presumably awesome significant other was not in your day-to-day, right? Like, how much have they helped you? It's really the question.
Well, see, I would say, I mean, business-wise, my wife doesn't ship or list or anything in that way, like the way I would say JC helps Ken, right?
Involve, yeah.
Yeah.
But my wife does support on what I do, and gives me the time that I need to do it, and is not like, hey, this and this, or on me on whatever I'm doing when it comes to the business side. She welcomes like any and all ideas or new things I want to do, whether it's like YouTube or the podcast or, the live selling part that takes up, the night times during the week. So the full on support is extremely important. I do know,
she's there
and
to
not
hold
only
you
that,
down.
yeah, exactly. But not only that, but the mess that I make with how much inventory comes in and sorting and bins and boxes, and she never gives me any hassle for any of that, because I do know some resellers that man, some wives are just on them. They're like, why is this here?
Husbands too, I've heard it from both sides of like they're not supportive. They're looking for every little thing to like pick on and criticize. And like also if it's all in your living space, like I understand that. I'd be crotchety about that too, but it's really hard when anybody in your family who's living in your house is not really supportive and isn't on board. It's like a constant struggle.
Yeah, true. I think the best thing would be like, why is this here? And to make it worse, it's not even listed.
Like, kick me when I'm down.
Yeah, that one. Oh man,
I just looked. That's when. It's not even on
you
eBay.
Need another significant.
Yeah, I would like to say we are all very fortunate that our partners / significant others are very supportive in different ways.
Or we wouldn't even be doing this.
No, they're all extremely supportive, but they do have different roles, like you're saying, Glenn.
Yeah.
Like JC is like very hands-on, business partner in the business side of it with you. John is like somewhere in between. Like we're kind of like the Goldilocks spectrum here. Like we're kind of like, supportive involvement, like semi-involved / supportive involvement, and then like super involved and support. Like we have the whole spectrum covered across our spouses, I feel like.
So it all works. It all works out, right? Like how it's just really, if I would say like playing to your preference, right? I think that's it, right? Like if your preference is not be involved, you play to it, right? And if it's half involved, you play to it.
I think so.
Really, like, I mean, I guess that's what partnership is about. Being with your significant other, being married, is like playing to each other's advantages and playing to each other's strength. And I would say mentally too, it would be super taxing to have somebody not support, right? Like in any way, right? Like whether it's physically helping or actually just behind you helping, or doing other things to give you time, right? I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah. So for the next episode, our significant others are going to be doing the episode. So
that's what I'm saying.
Let's see how supportive they are.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we need to bring them in one by one and just like put them in the hot seat and talk to them about what their experience is of our crazy life being resellers. Like, I think that'd be so cool.
Replace one.
Yeah, they could stand in for us. That would be really fun.
That'd be cool.
Be like, I don't want to do podcasts today. Can you do podcasts?
They'll just ask you some questions and stuff. I swear.
Yeah. No, I think that'd be cool though, and also like I think this is a whole topic too. Just obviously from the like my background as a therapist, like I did couples therapy for many years too, and I think it's really interesting.
Oh no!
Like, oh no, not really, not oh no, but I think it's interesting. Like, what do you do if your spouse is not supportive? How can you make that as least painful as possible, right? Like, how can you make that less taxing mentally and like set good boundaries and help and communicate about it with somebody who doesn't support it? Like, there's so many things. It's a whole can of worms, but like, I know there are a lot of resellers. There are several I know personally that I can think of right off the top of my head who live with that all the time, and it's really hard. And it's really discouraging, like nobody needs that extra layer.
They're very mentally strong.
Yeah. Nobody needs the extra layer of discouragement. You
want this?
So
you want me to support you? You better get this listed right now. Just kidding. You better
be
prove
no
it.
death file.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No death piles.
Everything cross-listed.
Anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah,
Why
that's
you
right.
subscribe to this and you don't even use it?
Everything better sell by tomorrow.
You're like, let's talk about setting realistic expectations. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything better be sold by tomorrow. Then do you know the shipping nightmare that will ensue?
Oh, I know. True.
It's like
Glenn
you don't
knows
even
about
get
it.
it. Okay, well, those were really the two questions. I did want to harken back to a question we had before, mainly to give a shout out to my dear friend Dylan from Momentum Vintage and Electronics, because he heard a Q&A episode we did earlier where somebody asked about scanning and postcards. And, you know, I sell postcards a little bit. You guys don't sell postcards, so we didn't have a whole lot to say about that. But Dylan listened to that episode and he texted me and was like, hey, just so you know, I scan in my postcards and it works really great. So I was
See,
like,
there we
okay,
go.
awesome. Official endorsement of scanning your postcards from Dylan, which I highly respect anything that Dylan does. So I'm starting the hashtag here and now, hashtag do what Dylan does, because he's a very experienced reseller and he's brilliant. So I love that he validated that as a method for postcards, because I was frankly too lazy to try that with postcards and just took pictures of them like everything else. So scanning is the way to go. Hashtag do what Dylan does.
Do what
So there
Dylan
you go.
does.
All the postcard people.
Thanks, Dylan.
Thanks, Dylan. But
Yo, Dylan, thank you. All right, go ahead.
no, he deserves all the thanks. That's good.
Okay, he does. He does.
We can keep thanking him forever. But yeah, but that's pretty much it. We had a couple questions. Keep the questions coming in so that we have more stuff like that to discuss. I think for those who are wanting more of the nitty-gritty details, asking us questions is a great way to get into those, because, you know, we've all been selling for years and years, and we like to talk about the bigger, more overarching topics, but we also do want to talk about the stuff that you guys really want to hear about. So if there's specifics that you want to hear about, please ask us. Like, we really do want to answer all the questions that you have. So send them in.
Smooth episode.
Super smooth.
Well,
Super
there
smooth.
you have it, guys. Launch episode. Huge shout out to our partnership with List Perfectly. Click on the link below to get subscribed for List Perfectly, and watch out for one of the coolest giveaways that
Oh my gosh.
the seller community has ever seen, and it's only gonna get better. That's what I'm gonna tease you on.
Yeah,
And
it
it's
is
just
gonna be
January.
awesome.
It's just January, right? And we're already kicking it, strong, cool giveaways, cool partnerships, more cool partnerships to come. And if anybody is thinking about partnering with Seller Club, DM us. Maybe we can work something up. So there we have it, guys. Thank you so much for listening. This is episode number 13.
Lucky 13.
Wow, 13 episodes in. And with that, we'll see you on the next episode. Seller Club, we out. Peace.
See ya.